Boy. Oh, we hadn't started?
No, I was gonna do some cheesy like French
Yeah.
intro here.
Hmm.
But here we are. For those who aren't familiar, Paul and I were just talking about kind of like faux French, I guess. I don't know
Yep. I
what
have friends from France who kind of want to be Americans, and so I call them Francophonies,
Francophonies.
which is actually, I believe, the technical correct term for someone who is into French stuff, like, or into France or whatever. A Francophony. I know you'd say like a Francophone, I guess, maybe that's more.
Yeah, we haven't.
Anywho,
Yeah,
I never claimed to know a lot of French, just enough to get me in trouble,
yeah, which is the appropriate amount, right? There's,
Yeah.
there's like a couple levels. There's like complete ignorance, right? You show up and you just start wielding a baton.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's like I'm gonna try and blend in, but you don't. But that's kind of where you want to be, I think. At least.
I do as much. I mean, I'm obviously American. Those two friends I just mentioned, by the way, moved to Toulouse, so I call them the Toulousers, which is beautiful.
We haven't pissed off a country in a while. And here goes France.
It's important to include everybody.
Mm-hmm. I've always wondered if the mascot of Lyon was a lion. I would think it would make sense. But anyways,
I believe it is actually.
is it? It should
Yeah.
be.
It's probably related to some kind of a Roman thing, and I think lions were kind of the emperor symbol or something. I don't know, but I bet it's something like that.
There are some people who tuned into this podcast and they are questioning their life
What
choices.
the hell is happening here? Yeah, exactly.
As they should
I
be.
remember my ancient Aramaic. I think.
Anyways, so here we are. Seems like sometime this spring, Paul and I will get to hang out in New York together. I'm assuming at Rattle and Hum will be the location that we will.
Yeah, rattle and hum light, as I call it.
Yeah, it's not the real hum. It's
Yeah,
it's the Quebec of
this is the Quebec
Rattle and Hum.
Yeah.
So
The Quebecois of French or of restaurants or whatever. I don't know.
anyways, so for those who didn't catch it, this morning, whoops, that's Paul. This would be me. You can look at Paul too. He's not as whatever.
Photogenic. I'm wearing my Steve Jobs outfit. I'm just like Steve Jobs, except I'm fat and I have hair. Go on.
Oh, should I make the joke? Should I make it?
Also, I'm alive.
I was gonna say I have a pancreas too.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yikes.
that one.
Barely alive, I guess. Anyways,
for this 3 people that tuned in for actual news today. So this morning posted up, got a little insider knowledge from people familiar with the situation, I think is the appropriate term, about what Microsoft is going to announce in the spring. And so it looks like Book 3, as Paul and I have been talking for a while, there's going to be a spring event, and now we know the details. Book 3, the Book 3 is going to have Intel 10th gen, not a big surprise there. Slightly disappointing on the GPU side. Looks like it's going to have a 1660 or 1600 series. Looks like potentially a couple different models depending on the size of the book. Because right now, if you get a Surface Book 2 with a 13.5 inch, you get slightly different on currents, whatever. So we've got that. And then if you really have a deep pocketbook, I believe there's going to be NVIDIA Quadro graphics, which I think is going to be like way up on the high end of scale, but I think that's going to be an interesting pitch where they're going to try to court data scientists, because it's really, really good for those big data set crunches and AI ML stuff. And
so I don't know a lot about NVIDIA graphics chipsets, but if it's not like the most recent or the most powerful, do you think it's just related to the thermals and the size of the device, or it's obviously not a gamer PC.
Yeah, I mean, so it should do okay gaming. So the big difference is there's the 1660, and then also available is the 2060. And the biggest difference between that, and I know it's not completely accurate, but the biggest difference is one supports ray tracing, which is the 2060, and the 1660 does not support ray tracing.
Yeah, that's a gamer.
Yeah, that is, as of right now, it's primarily a gaming feature. Although, and I'm sure Microsoft is going to make this exact argument that it's not that widespread. It's not that big of a deal. So,
hey, they just adopted USB-C in 2019. What do you think they were going to do?
And I think the bigger issue here is honestly just looking at this guy right here, which is about 2.5 years old. Ray tracing in 2.5 years might be kind of a feature you really want. So
Hmm. Hmm.
we've got that. The other interesting thing that I'll be watching for too is if it really does have Quadro, which I'm pretty sure it does. That thing is not exactly power friendly, right? When it's crunching and really grinding, it needs a lot of wattage for the wall. So I'm curious how Microsoft is going to
Yeah.
deal with
Well,
this.
the Surface Book is a 2 battery design, and I'm sure you'll be able to turn it off so you're not using it unless you really need it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You are hearing the same form factor essentially, right? No
Yeah,
major.
so I don't think we're gonna see. I know there's gonna be some minor differences. Someone's gonna come and point and be like, "That's a refresh."
Mhm.
Like it's gonna be. I'm not expecting like a design re-engineering. I honestly think, and I've heard previously to this that design refresh change will happen with the next Surface Book. So SB4, not the one coming out. So anywhere from 4 to 6 years, based on the current.
Right. Oh, God. By the way, I got a cold yesterday somehow. Just throw that in there randomly. You can kind of feel it coming on. And
Yeah, the weather
by the
has
time
been
it went, yeah,
like-
just weird. I think it was because I went to a concert the other night and it was around people, which, I hate. So that's why you don't do stuff
especially
like that.
those
Anyway,
French people, right? From
the French. Right. Yeah. Anywho, but there's also, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
that.
you're fine.
I'm going to be coughing. But there is also a Surface Go 2.
Yeah, that looks to be coming as well. Again, there might be in terms of like more physical design change, the Go 2 might have a little bit more than say the Book, but I'm not expecting again like a dramatic overhaul. It's just going to be just kind of a revision, if you will. And then it's going to have a very similar processor lineup. Again, I think it's going to start with that Intel Pentium Gold. I'm sure that Microsoft and Intel have a new version of that coming or something like that. And then I think you'll be able to spec it all the way up into a low Intel Core M variant if you're going to want to pay more money.
It's too bad that wasn't always the case.
Yeah.
I feel like I know this thing was designed to hit $1 point, and it's just, I feel like something like this that was a full-size keyboard, slightly bigger display. That's not as crucial, but obviously you could fit a bigger display in there. And then a slightly better processor. It would turn this into a different story.
Yeah.
It's hard to recommend something like Surface Go against an iPad, especially when you can get an iPad for $250.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a dedicated group that is targeted for the Surface Go. It's for, especially in the corporate world, where they're looking for that just really cheap device that's going to support Active Directory. It's going to support that corporate environment, and then they can put it out on first-line workers, which is a big push for Microsoft this year. And so I think that is the target market. And then and that also works in education for little kids and that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
But I don't well, I was about to say this with a caveat, but I was going to say I don't see it outselling Surface Pro, but it probably could because they're relatively cheap. So
yeah, there's so many problems there. Battery life is a problem too, right? If you wanted to hand it to a kid on a plane and say, watch some movies, play some games, they probably, if you were flying to say France, it wouldn't make it. Whereas an iPad, no problem. It's too bad. I wish there was some solution to that. And who knows, maybe with Windows 10X coming down the pike, that will come with the power management improvements that will put something like that over the top.
Yeah, there's already a movement online that has hacked the Windows 10X emulator image onto a Surface Go.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that's a little more ambitious than I am willing to be right now, but it's definitely possible, and so we will see. And the other things floating around, there's Surface Headphones 2 floating around inside of Microsoft right now. I don't know if they're going to make it to this event, but they exist and they're real, and I don't know when they're coming, but that's kind of like the wild card. And then, of course, we'll probably see the Surface earbuds.
Surface earbuds, the Samsung Home Mini of the Microsoft world. Are they ever going to actually ship this damn thing?
Yeah, I guess they will. I mean, if you've ever said I want saucer plates in your ear, Microsoft has the product for you. So here's some other bit of news, Paul, that I did not include. And I don't know like how much, and you'll see where I'm going with this. But I believe now that the Surface brand is actually profitable inside of Microsoft.
Profitable.
Not break even, but like more north than that than they have been essentially since their existence. So
I mean, I had a conversation with them about this at the October event, and at that time, they were absolutely not profitable.
right, that's why this is a big deal. But
Yeah.
and again, we're talking for the holiday quarter too. So that wouldn't have, when you talk to them, they wouldn't have had holiday sales, obviously.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's big. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
So the question will be: is it a full year? And I don't know these answers. One, because their fiscal year isn't done. Is this going to be eventually
but
lead to a full year profitability, or where they're at? But that's a huge
I would
milestone.
view this like that $1 billion quarter thing, right? So Surface at one point had their first $1 billion quarter. You're like, okay, here we go. But then of course, you have up and downs, and they're not shipping product very quickly, and maybe they have some down quarters, but over time it kind of normalizes out, and it's fair to say that they are a $1 billion quarter business. In fact, they closed in on $2 billion last
Yeah.
holiday. So I think that, I mean, if they can be profitable, I mean, based on what we're seeing them release in the spring, it's not like they're doing a bunch of R&D over there. So I mean, it could be it should be a profitable business. And this was the kind of theoretical discussion I had around a Microsoft phone business, again with someone from Microsoft, who said, if this thing could be a small business but was profitable, would that be a problem? And the answer, of course, is no. That's great.
What's really great about this too is that they finally reached profitability, and what are they going to go do? They're going to build a phone.
Well, but again,
No, I know. I'm joking.
I look, I don't know. Surface Duo is very interesting,
It is.
and flip screen and folding screen devices in general are very interesting. I think they're going to be. I think they'll do okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not for me.
I'm
but
curious what the price. I think the price is going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at even the Razer, whatever Flip One, the Galaxy Flip Z. Those things are. I bet they're probably about
there's so much in this. I mean, GSM or CMA. Is it? Is the camera going to be any good? Is there any? Does anyone believe they have any chance in hell of getting close to the Apples, Samsungs, Huawei, Googles of the world when it comes to camera quality? There's no way.
Saving grace here
Yeah.
is that a lot of those lenses actually come from Sony for like Samsung devices and all. Not all. I know it's not ubiquitous across the board.
Yeah.
And Microsoft
OnePlus uses them. Yep.
Remember when they signed that deal with Sony to bring PlayStation or whatever onto Azure, it was also to swap some other assets too, or contractually. I just wonder if they're going to be getting image sensors from them, which would help. But again, a lot of it is in the software as well. So
I think they can glide for a gen or two because right now it's just an exciting new thing, and the people who buy this are going to be early adopters who are curious about the new screen thing, and the fact that the camera isn't as good is not going to be an issue. But over time, for these things to be viable out in the world, it has to be a concern. So
yeah, I think we got to look at to your point, we got to look at the longer arc of what Microsoft's trying to do here. Are they really trying to build a folding screen phone business going forward, or are they just trying to be like, hey, look, we're here, we have the technology, please build your dual screen apps with our software or something?
I actually think part of it is about getting developers on board with dual screen, because they're offering a solution that will target dual screens across platforms, right? And that may ultimately help Windows as well, or at least their productivity products where you have things like the Office apps where you might want to run two or more of them side by side, or have one app with two windows or whatever it is. So it makes some sense. Real quick, something just flashed in my brain because you made a joke earlier about when Surface Book 4 would come out, right? 4 to 6 years. I will say one of the ongoing issues with Surface, or questions maybe, is the pace at which they're able to release new product. And here they are, like you said, releasing a phone. Well, phones tend to be updated every year unless you're essential. And I think to have a viable phone business, and again, they may recast it because they're going to look at this as an enterprise device or something where this isn't as important, but you can't come up with a new one of these things every 4 or 6 years.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not saying it has to be every year, but
no, I see what
everyone
you mean,
else is doing it, right? I mean, those chipsets get revved pretty significantly every year.
Yeah, so that is a very good question about what we will see on an annual, ongoing basis. I think more so for the Duo, obviously, than the Neo. But
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. The Duo, yeah,
yeah.
specifically the phone, yeah.
Yeah, so we got that going on here. Sometime this spring, I bet we'll probably find out more, maybe in the next 4 to 6-ish weeks or so, maybe on that
Right.
front. I'm sure it'll be probably history of any guide. We'll be back in New York City. I can't and kind of hope they don't ever do that in San Francisco. That's a long way to go.
I won't go to San Francisco if that's where it is. I can just watch it online. I don't. I can't. There's no
Yeah.
way.
What they should do is have Duo events at.
I like it. Dual screens. They could have one in each dual coastal events.
Yep.
It's actually not a horrible idea.
No, they do that for other stuff.
They do it
have-
for reviewer workshops and things, you know.
And they also have like developer days randomly. Like there's, or not randomly, but there's always that one in November.
Randomly. You just wake up one day. It's, oh my God, they're having one.
Yeah, it's like Scott Guthrie throws a dart at the wall. Tuesday, and
Go to Atlanta.
it's like, here we go, here we go. So yeah, so that should be interesting. I don't know. I'm hoping I get one for a review. We'll see. Because I use this thing like every day.
Oh, the Surface Book. Yep. Yeah, Surface Book is fantastic. The design is goofy, but it seems like, that first gen obviously had issues, lots of reliability issues.
Mm-hmm.
You don't ever hear any issues like that for Surface Book 2. I mean,
Not nearly the same.
it seems like they got on top of it, and that would make a compelling case for sticking with the same architecture, frankly, once you get it working,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like this machine. Actually, I
Yeah.
used it yesterday after I recorded, the iOS whatever gameplay on this thing. Because this thing still has an SD card slot, which I very much appreciate. Please do not take that away, Microsoft. That is very helpful.
I just noticed the other day, it's like, this thing still doesn't have USB-C. Huh.
Is this one? I can't even remember.
Oh, wait, or does it?
No, this one does.
Oh, it does. I'm sorry.
It does. It
I was
does.
looking at it. I was looking for photos for the article today, and it was listed as Surface Book 2, but it had a mini DisplayPort on it. And I was like,
Oh, no, that's definitely. We'll blame
okay,
that
so
one on
that's
my headache.
mislabeled. I'm sure that was my fault back 2 years ago whenever I posted it.
Yep. We'll just blame you or Mahedi, anybody but me. Oh, so what else is going on? It's Valentine's Day for people who are waking up and wondering why. I don't know. And
My wife and I don't celebrate Valentine's Day.
yeah. Well, I mean, I pawned off the kid on my wife, so that worked out.
So it's Galentine's Day.
I don't know. What else you got going on? Anything this weekend, Paul?
I'm actually going to be out for part of the weekend. We're going to another concert randomly, but then that's going to be
Going
it
to
for
a
a while.
lot lately.
I know, it's just the way it's no weird. It's weird. It's just a random thing that's kind of happened, but it's far enough away. We have to get a hotel room because I don't want to drive back from middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, on a Saturday night. But no, I mean, the same as I said yesterday. I've got hardware reviews I need to catch up on. There's a bunch of stuff. I've been working on all this kind of random. It's not really that random, but like Office 365 stuff lately. And here's a goofy little tidbit for people that might or might not be interesting. If you have a commercial Office 365 account, like some people might actually get that as an individual for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
There are reasons, custom domains and so forth. You can actually sign in with that account on Windows 10, like you would use a Microsoft account. But what you're using is an Azure Active Directory account, because every Microsoft 365 commercial account actually gets it's the free version of Azure AD. And so it works much like a Microsoft account. But the trick is, if you're not on Microsoft 365, or your employer, if you're getting it through your employer, didn't buy the Azure, whatever it's called, add-on, you don't get sync capabilities. So even though you can sign in with that, and you can make purchases in the store and whatever else, you can't sync your settings between PCs. Like that feature actually requires a higher end version. Well, it requires Microsoft 365, or like I said, whatever the add-on's called. I can't remember off the top of my head. It took me a long time to figure out what was going on there.
Yeah, I can see why
But
that's...
yeah, but it's interesting. Like you can actually sign in. You can do that. Like it's automatic. It's kind of an interesting thing for people if they want to play around with it and try to understand that. And if you look at the Azure portal, everything Microsoft commercial side, it's portal.office.com for Office 365, and then portal.azure.com. there's a minimal number of things you can configure in there, but you do have an Azure Active Directory account. I thought that was kind of interesting.
You're kind of.
Will that turn into an article? I don't know.
Yeah. So there you go. I don't know what I'm doing on my end. I'm going to paint the bathroom again. Oh, we watched Frozen 2 last night. Frozen 2 is out for anybody who's been dying.
And when you say it's out, you mean it literally came out on video and you had to buy it like exactly the week it came out because
It'll be on Disney Plus, but I had to buy it anyways because my kid will watch it 75 times. It's a decent movie, but it's not something I would like knock down the walls to go watch. Like if you've never seen it before, but it'll make Disney a couple $2 billion, and I'm sure there'll be a third, and a fourth, and a fifth.
If everything goes accordingly, I will never watch this movie. But I suppose at some point I'll have to have grandkids.
Yeah,
I'll probably won't watch it. Stupid little Rugrats.
Paul Thurrott, ladies and gentlemen, already hates his grandkids that are not
already the grandfather of the air. Yep.
So, all right, folks, that wraps it up. Provided the meteor does not hit this weekend, we should be back on Monday.